Hi guys, I hope you all are doing good. So, let us start with the revision of our next chapter, that is NCLT and NCLAT. The average weightage of this chapter lies between 2 to 5 marks for your examination. And trust me guys, this is like the most easy 2 to 5 marks that you can get out of this chapter. One more thing, this is more of a MCQ type of chapter. Like asking any descriptive question out of this chapter is very unlikely. Okay, so before jumping onto the provisions what all are covered in this chapter, I would want you to know about the central theme of this chapter, what NCLT or NCLAT is all about. So guys, NCLT and NCLAT are the appellate authorities of Companies Act 2013. Whenever there is any conflict between the parties, the first bench where they move for the resolution is NCLT. Whenever any party is aggrieved by the order of NCLT, it shall move to NCLAT for the resolution, and if any person is aggrieved by the order of NCLAT, it shall move to Supreme Court. However, one point you need to remember is that one can go to Supreme Court only for the question of law. NCLAT is the last authority to deal with the proceedings related to question of fact. Okay, so let us see what all sections we are going to cover. Sections 407 and then section 420 to 434. The sections ranging from 408 to 419 have already been removed by the ICAI. However, these sections are still there in the Companies Act, but these are not in your syllabus. So, I'll alongside let you know about which all sections are important from your examination point of view. Okay, starting with the first section, section 407. It contains a certain definitions that you need to know. Like, it is not important from the examination point of view, but for the understanding of this chapter, you need to know the meaning of a few terms. Let us start. Chairperson. Who is a chairperson? The topmost authority of NCLAT is the chairperson. President is the topmost authority of NCLT. And who judicial and technical members are? These are basically the assistant members. They assist in the chairperson and the president in forming a conclusion. They are the members who have knowledge of laws, the subject matter, the facts, etc. And these are appointed by NCLT and NCLAT. Moving to the next section, section 420, order of tribunal. This is important from your examination point of view. Whenever tribunal passes any order which contains any misstatement which is apparent from record, the tribunal shall rectify such an order within a period of 2 years from the date of order. Now, what do you mean by misstatement apparent from record? Let us understand this by an example. Suppose the debtors in the notes to accounts shows at say 50,000. However, you have took the debtors at 5 lakh in the balance sheet. What is this? This is a misstatement which is apparent from record. You can find the misstatement even by looking at the records only. Okay, so any such misstatement shall be rectified by the tribunal within a period of 2 years from the date of order. Tribunal could either suo motu get to know about such a misstatement, or such a misstatement could be brought to the notice by the third party. Tribunal shall not amend any order against which an appeal has already been preferred to the NCLAT. Okay, section 421. This is again important. Appeal from order of tribunal. Any person who is aggrieved by the order of NCLT can make an appeal to NCLAT within a period of 45 days. A further extension of 45 days could be given if there are sufficient cause. Okay, NCLAT can confirm or modify or set aside the order passed by NCLT. This is important where any order is passed with the consent of all the parties. No, such an order cannot be challenged. Okay, if order is passed with the consent of all parties, no appeal can be made against any such order. And this is very logical too, right? Coming to the next section, section 422, expeditious disposal by NCLT and NCLAT. NCLT and NCLAT shall mandatorily dispose the petition or appeal within a period of 3 months. If they could not dispose of within a period of 3 months, a reason is in writing shall be recorded by the president in case of NCLT and by the chairperson in case of NCLAT. Okay. However, a grant of maximum 90 days could be given if sufficient cause is there. But in any ways, if they could not dispose of the appeal within a period of 3 months, they have to record the reasons in writing. This is again important from an examination point of view. Section 423, appeal to Supreme Court. Important for MCQ. Okay. Any person aggrieved by the order of NCLAT may appeal to the Supreme Court within a period of 60 days. A grant of 60 days could be given if sufficient cause is there. This we already know that we can move to Supreme Court only for question of law. NCLAT is the last authority which deals with the questions of fact. Okay. The sections here onwards are not at all important from your examination point of view, but as I have I have included these sections here because I am doing a detailed revision. This video is suitable for those who are going to revise this chapter for the very first time, but for the examination point of view, this is the last section that you have to remember. Okay. So, coming to the next section, section 424, procedures before the NCLT and NCLAT. NCLT and NCLAT shall not be bound by the Code of Civil Procedures for discharging their functions, and they shall have all the powers vested in the Civil Code, except for the power of search and seizure. Who shall have the power of search and seizure? The special court has the power of search and seizure. Okay. Coming to the next section, section 425, power to punish for contempt. For this, you need to know the meaning of contempt first. Contempt means any willful disobedience or open disrespect. If you are disrespecting the order of NCLT or NCLAT, the authorities NCLT and NCLAT shall have all the powers as are vested to the High Court. Okay. The next section, section 426, delegation of power. NCLT and NCLAT can delegate its powers to officers or employees of the authority. Section 427, members etc. to be public servant. The members of NCLT, NCLAT, such as the president, the chairperson, the judicial member, technical member, officers, employees etc. These are all public servants. Okay. The next section, 428, talks about protection of action in good faith. No suit or legal proceeding against action of NCLT, NCLAT, president, chairperson, or any other person of the authority. We cannot file any legal proceeding against any such authorities because we assume that that all the actions done by them are in good faith. Okay. Next section, section 429, power to take assistance of Chief Metropolitan Magistrate. NCLT and NCLAT have power to that they can take assistance of Chief Metropolitan Magistrate, District Collector, etc. When do we need to take assistance of them? When we have to take the possessions of books of accounts, properties, documents, etc. Okay. Next section, section 430, Civil Court not to have jurisdiction. Civil Court shall not intervene in any matters which are pending before NCLT and NCLAT. This is what this section talks about. The next is section 431, vacancy not to invalidate proceedings. Any vacancy in the office of NCLT and NCLAT would not invalidate the proceedings of NCLAT and NCLT. Okay. The next section, section 432, right to legal representation. Any party can appear whether in person or it may authorize any chartered accountant, company secretary, cost accountant, advocate, etc. for his representation. Okay. The next section, section 433, limitation. The provisions of limitation applies to the proceedings before NCLT and NCLAT. The last section of this chapter, section 434, it talks about transfer of certain legal proceedings. This is what the transition provision. Before NCLT and NCLAT comes into picture, there was a company law board. All the cases which the company law board was having before the constitution of NCLT and NCLAT shall be transferred to NCLT or NCLAT on the basis of their gravity. Okay. Any matters that were reserved with the High Court shall still be with the High Court, and any person who was aggrieved by the order of Company Law Board can make an appeal before the High Court within a period of 60 days, and a further extension of 60 days could be given. Actually, what was the scenario before constitution of your NCLT and NCLAT? There used to be a Company Law Board. Any order of Company Law Board could be challenged to the High Court, and then comes to the Supreme Court into picture. Any person aggrieved by the order of Company Law Board can go to the High Court for the resolution. Any person aggrieved by the order of High Court can move to the Supreme Court if uh, such a legal proceeding is based on matter of law. Okay, so any cases which are pending before the Company Law Board shall be transferred to NCLT or NCLAT. Matters reserved with the High Court shall still be with the High Court, and in any person aggrieved by the order of Company Law Board can appeal with the High Court before the High Court within a period of 60 days, and a further extension of 60 days could be given. So this is all about this chapter, and I would say section 420 to 423 are the only sections which are important from your examination point of view. You have to revise these sections in your further revisions. Like, you have to include only these sections in your further revisions. This is all about this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did so, please hit the like button, as it boosts the morale. And further, do subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.